Welcome back to Dum-Dums and Dragons, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Grand Wizard Bukake, your host. The Lost and Foundstival has officially begun. Butthole dressed as regally as possible to win over the crowd. Quinny reconnected with Ginny to make sure she wouldn't come on the suicide mission. And Juniper made a pie with ingredients supplied by all of her personas. Will Butthole's speech and the karaoke session distract the crowd enough for our heroes to slip away? Find out next on Dum-Dums and Dragons.
Butthole Farch, you have stepped up to the front of the room. You've stood from your throne. You stand before the assembled masses at the Feast of St. Mudbutt here at the Lost and Foundstival. And for the first time as kind of the king of this castle and with actual subjects, you look out over the variety of faces and reactions, some tired, some world weary, some overjoyed, some shit faced, some stuffing their face with that awesome pie that just had a little bit of every pie in it that was just like a real pleasant surprise for everybody. You look out over all these faces, you open your mouth and you deliver the sort of keynote address, for lack of a better term, for the Feast of St. Mudbutt.
Friends, allies, and country folk, we gather here together as those things, and in the name of the long-lost Mudbutt. He died. He was stupid, but he was also noble, and he was angry, but he was also brave, and he was violent, but he was also caring. He was a collection of contradictions, much like, if you look around this room, we all are. We come from a bunch of different places. We all have very different backgrounds, some noble, some, I guess, not noble. That always has a touch of class to it. But like we've got a psychopath over here, and we've got like a former member of the guard over here, and they're friends because we're all coming together, which requires us to be a little bit stupid and noble. And the task ahead of us requires us to have a whole heap of hope. Because frankly, the world outside of these walls is a bit of a toilet full of murderers and zombies. And that's not great. But here we have a place where the zombies can't come. And we've got people who are looking after each other. And we've got a future where we can start carving out together the kind of world, the kind of countries, the kind of places we all want to live. What I brought to this feast tonight were two things. All of you were given a knife because I was raised in a place where if you have a knife, you need to use it against your neighbor. But we're a place where we can A, use knives to eat like normal people who aren't fucking crazy, and B, we can use those knives to defend each other. We are strong for a little while so we can protect other people. And I brought snow cones because we're taking a situation we may not have ideally chosen, and we're turning it into something good, which is why the snow is here to do all of that. The thing I want to remind all of you is that things can be hard, and things can be terrible. But as long as we stick together, and as long as we hope, and as long as we nobly and equally stupidly refuse to give up because we are so angry about injustice, then there is a little bit of Mudbutt in all of us. And that's the Mudbutt we need moving forwards. To Mudbutt and to all of you.
And a cheer goes up from the crowd. I want to know how loud a cheer. So, Ryan, I'm going to need, I think, probably a persuasion seems appropriate here.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Knowing I have brought a lot of people back from the dead, could that possibly provide an advantage with this crowd?
I suppose, as king of the one fortress that stands against the undead hordes, and you brought snow cones, so sure, yes, you can have advantage.
That is a dirty 20.
Yeah, that seems about right. Amazing. So a cry kind of raises from the room of just like a lot of people didn't know Mudbutt, but the spirit of him, the sort of spirit you've imbued his memory with and that you've evoked in the room, I think really speaks to people, particularly in these hard times. So a massive dirty 20 cheer erupts. The walls almost shake with the cheer. And all of you feel, no matter kind of how else you're feeling about the mission ahead and what's brought you here, a swell of a certain amount of pride, and the kind of joy of this space fills you. It's honestly rather profound to think that, a bunch of people who owed a mobster a favor years ago in a small upside-down hat tavern could have brought together a community like this, particularly after the loss of Phandalin. But even then, like, you weren't running that town; you just kind of set it up. So there's something rather profound in this, and I think it just underscores for all of you the stakes that are at play here. You each gain 1 point of inspiration, courtesy of Butthole's heroic speech. So does everyone else in the castle.
God damn it, I had one and hadn't used it.
Well, that's
Fuck
fine.
me.
You can have 2. I don't care about that. You can only have 1 rule. It's never
Really?
made sense to me, and I don't like it. Yeah.
Yes! Double inspired. Sorry.
I'm also sitting at 2.
There you go. It's almost like you haven't had to roll dice in a while.
Not in a minute.
Butthole's got 1 and Reginald's got 1.
Yeah. So the room is inspired. There's a lot of again, a lot of joy and a lot of glee, and people get to feasting. Get back to feasting. Between Quinny and Juniper, would you approach Butthole to say anything to him after the speech? Keep in mind, like, think of this as like a wedding reception at this point, where there's just like, the black mages are getting set up for their karaoke set. People are, the snow cones are flying both metaphorically and physically as some of the kids are throwing them at each other. Like, people are really like, it's a full feast now, of admittedly small amounts of food. So you can like kind of like shoulder your way, or kind of like Juniper in your case, like roll your way up, sort of like through the crowd if you want to say anything to him, but otherwise we can just move along.
I don't think Quinny has anything pressing to say right here and now. I think he's just kind of having a little bit to eat because he knows he should eat something, but I don't think he can really put away a big meal right now just because of how nervous and tense he's feeling about what's got to be done.
Yep, fair enough. Juniper.
Juniper definitely eventually wants to have the conversation with Butthole about what she talked about with Reginald, about like how the folks in Aka will receive his presence. But I don't think the feast is the time. So
this is
that
more like
that could be on the road.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was thinking more like, good job, good speech, bud. Not necessarily like, so.
Yeah, Reginald will give Butthole a thumbs up from across the room where he's dressed like a monster, but Reginald is fucking carb loading for the road. Like, it's just all carbs, like somebody ready for a marathon. He's been on the road with the Horde before, and he's not fucking going hungry if he doesn't have to.
Tyler, now that Bucky and Reginald are the best of buds, is Bucky trying to keep up with the food eating? Is he trying to impress Reginald?
No, there's I don't know if there's a competitive bone in Bucky's body. It's always comes from a place of love and admiration. So if anything, if he sees him carb loading, Bucky will give him his food. Bucky will just be like, "Here you go, sir. You look really hungry."
I've got to say, you're growing up. I'm impressed with you. And I'm amazed they don't use you for more things.
Oh, they use me for all kinds of things. Just earlier today, I was drawing a new god for Ginny.
That doesn't sound... Wait, why?
Because she asked me to.
Do you do everything people ask you to do?
I try to.
See, listen, we got to help you find a backbone. One of the things that you need to survive in any horde is the ability to say no to people who are wasting your time or are going to get you killed.
Oh, okay.
So, like, what if I said to you, hey, why don't you go outside and fall on a sword?
I probably wouldn't do that.
Okay, that's good. We're setting a boundary right up front. I like that. Now, is that because you don't know me terribly well? Like, what if Quinny told you to do it?
I definitely trust Mr. Quinny a lot more than you, sir.
Okay, so would you go outside and just fall on a sword because he told you to?
I'd probably have some follow-up questions.
Okay, that's a healthy step one. So, I feel like we're setting some good boundaries here, which is you shouldn't die just because people ask you to. Now, there are more advanced versions of that, which is like, how much do you value your time?
I think time spent supporting and helping my heroes, the Dum-Dums, is some of the best way to spend your time.
Okay, but like, what do you do for you?
I help people. That's for me in a way. I like doing it.
Well, that's good, as long as you're having a good time. But here's the thing. There's a certain amount of self-sacrifice that's really just sort of a masochistic thing, where you're not actually caring for yourself, and it's really just a form of, like, self-flagellation, masquerading, hiding pride, probably.
What's masochism?
Oh, that's where you just, you hurt yourself and seem to like it for some reason.
I don't know if that describes me, sir.
Well, I mean, what have the Dum-Dums ever done for you?
Oh, they inspired me to kind of start my life over. That I wasn't beholden to the life that I was born to.
Well, did they tell you that personally, or was that sort of like they were an idea that inspired you to that?
More the latter. Yeah, I learned about them and took lessons from their exploits and came to find them and show them how much I support them and value them.
Okay, so that sounds really valuable, like the symbol of them really helped you. But I mean, since you've joined the team, what have you done and what has happened to you? A bunch of good things where you're stronger and better and you haven't made mistakes or been injured?
I would say I've pretty much stayed the same if we're talking about levels.
No, but I just mean, like, have you been put into dangerous situations? Have you been abandoned? Have you had to sacrifice your morals? Has anything like that happened to you? Or have they just been, like, taking care of you, no problems, nothing bad?
Oh, room and board has been great, and getting to spend time with my heroes has been really enriching for my soul, I would think. And yeah, there's a little bit of danger that I've been put into, but no more than anyone else on the team, and it's kind of cool to think of myself as being on the team.
Okay, well, then it sounds like they've legitimately been looking after you. It's shocking, because I feel like you're getting played, but you may be playing yourself, which means you're winning the game.
Oh. Did you need me to fall on the sword now or later?
I don't want you to do that. Don't fall on swords. If someone gives you an order that'll get you killed, don't follow that order. You find a way to lie to them, sneak away, and then have somebody else take that order. That's the job.
That's my job.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I could probably try that. Ask me to fall on a sword.
I'm going to need you to fall on a sword.
You got it. But not really, sir.
Okay, but you're
You said
going to
lie.
need to... You can't tell the person it's a lie. You have to be like, I'm going to do that right away. And then you go outside and you find somebody who's like a not so nice person, and then you shove them onto a sword, and then you go back and you're like, well, this person did it for me. And then it's like a net gain for society, and you don't get in trouble.
I see. I can't think of very many bad people here that I would want to push onto a sword, though.
All right, well, let me tell you about Mog Crankshaft. Just telling a story about Mog and anyone who's joining Mog's new team.
Amazing. Butthole, having completed your speech, you kind of get off the stage. You can see Reginald and Bucky deep in conversation. Surely that's just fine. And you actually see Mo being kind of wheeled up by Dex and Trax. And again, he's looking real rough. And you're a little surprised to see that one of his eyes is white and cloudy. So you've done your healing farting magic. You managed to bring him back from the brink. But it really does seem like whatever hit him in a real strange way. He just kind of weakly raises a hand and says, hello, Lord Farch, we're going with that now? We're going with King Farch, King Butthole?
I mean, you can call me whatever you want, buddy. Honestly, like, how are you doing? You don't look great, and magically that's confusing to me.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that, but I didn't want to feel, ungrateful for all of the, bringing me back from the brink you did. Some good bring back from the brinkmanship. I could see my ribs, for a while there, which didn't seem particularly nice, so I really appreciate everything you did. But I was curious about, the old peeper. They point at his eye. And he says, it's not a big deal, really, but yeah, it did seem curious to me, given the rest of the healing. I wonder if it maybe had something to do with Bucarius and his power. Any thoughts? You're the healing guy.
I mean, it's kind of weird on the scale of things. I've never known magic to stop other magic after an injury's been done.
That's a little fucked up, right?
Yeah, Tom, can I pray on this or do something to try to see if I can math out what's happened here?
Yeah, you can pray. I think I would take a... it's been a hot sec. The stat we use for you
we usually use insight for his,
insight.
Trying to solve it based on his gut.
I would take an insight. I would also just take a straight medicine if you wanted to go that route.
No, I think he's going to go insight because to him this feels like beyond medicine if it stopped his magic from working.
Yeah, and keep in mind, like, even though Moonhammer is kind of like has returned to her own realm, and is no longer like a direct phone line to you, I still very much believe that Butthole would be able to snap prey to her and just receive the same answer he always received, even when he wasn't actually receiving answers from her. And I know we've talked a little bit about like the butt hammer closed loop on that too, but please don't feel like you need to not do your patented snap prayers if that's what feels correct.
Oh yeah, no. Then his beard turns into boobs. Yeah, he's here. Like the magic is running through him. He's figuring it out.
Yeah.
He's done snap prayers before, guys. He's done them since, so it's still there. It's happening. Alrighty, let's see. As he prays, that's a nat 1.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you take a look, and honestly, it just looks like for whatever reason this didn't heal properly, but to Mo's point, the rest of the damage healed perfectly. He's looking good. He's weak. I feel like the thing we often lose in sort of like D&D magic is like, yeah, I healed all your wounds, and it's like, cool, your body took a bunch of trauma. Like it doesn't feel great necessarily, particularly for someone like Mo who hasn't seen a lot of field work. So yeah, you take a look. The eye doesn't like track or respond to light, so it just seems like it hasn't healed up. But also knowing that the injury was caused by Bucarius and that both he and Bucky share chaos magic, there's also just some shit that we genuinely don't know about chaos sorcery. It's not really something like Bucky can't explain it. We've never talked to anyone about it. So unfortunately, you come up with nothing.
Yeah, well, it kind of just looks like you got your ass kicked.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate description of what went down.
All right, well,
okay.
So maybe we could try blasting you with one more spell. Let's see what happens here. And he just summons 2 glowing golden buttholes in each of his hands, and just rings of light start bouncing between them around our dear Mosiphius's head. With just the tinkling of bells and farts. So it's clearly farting into bells to make them ring. And he will cast Greater Restoration on our dear friend Mo Dirt, which means he imbues a creature with positive energy to undo a debilitating effect and reduce the target's exhaustion level by 1. Which includes getting rid of curses. I don't know if that'll affect this or what. So he'll probably go with the curse version. That feels like he was cursed.
Yeah, so with Mo with his good eyes, just kind of like looking back and forth between the glowing butthole bell ringing, and he's just like, oh, this is quite something. And you can see like the rings under his eyes just kind of like plump out a little bit, and like the hollows in his cheeks fill in. And immediately, like, his sort of slumped posture, like, it's almost like he rolls his shoulders a little bit. The eye begins to kind of like track. It remains glassy, and he just says, "Yeah, well, I mean, I feel a lot better, but no, nothing with that. That might just be busted there, butthole. That's okay. I just thanks for trying. And honestly, whatever you just did there, I feel like I could do a tired jig." And he just kind of like does some arm action from his chair, and he's like, "Oh, that well, that didn't feel as good as I'd hoped. Actually,
yeah, you should probably take some time to rest.
Probably take some time to rest. But hey," and he puts a hand out on your hand, and he just says, "Look, you really you really came through for me, butthole. And I know we've had adventures in the past and such, but I think I can be doing more, I feel like there's a lot of people who need stuff here, and I think, and he kind of like gestures around everything. He says, you're building something pretty wonderful, and I want to make sure I'm helping, but also knowing the kind of monsters that are out there, I want to help more. So once I'm feeling better, I want to go out into the field a little bit more, so don't hesitate to send me on stuff. Me and I'll get better. I'll get better at using the powers that I get from the Great Cornholio to do more than just, mix a fine beverage. No, it's not just Dagobah mudslides. It can also be power, I hope. So I just wanted you to know that you can count on me when I'm feeling better. Okay?
Yes, I hear you. I'm listening, and also, getting hurt isn't mean anybody's going to get forced to the bench. I mean, look at my fucking face. And he just points to his, like, Deadpool levels of scars and the slash across his face that matches Quinny's. Like, that stuff happens on missions. And sometimes it gets healed up, and sometimes it doesn't. If you want to do the work, you can absolutely do the work. And if you're looking for somebody who might be able to help you with some of the training, Crendon is around, and he's figured out a whole scout cadre who's definitely going to be going through some training. So if you're looking to get more field training, that's probably a place where you could pick up some extra skills for your next mission.
And he kind of squints and he says, "Oh, yeah, Crendon. Good old Crendon. That's a name I'm familiar with from our many adventures."
Yeah, he's new. Don't worry. You don't have to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I was really worried that, I was just going to be real rude that maybe there was another one of you kicking around, but okay.
Yeah, no, brand new. Found him where we found Ginny and the other halflings. So.
Oh, all right. Swell. All right. Well, the more the merrier, I suppose. I'll go talk to him when I'm up. I'll do the jig test. If I can do a jig and not feel like I like my bones want to leap out of my body and turn to dust, then I'll be good enough to go talk to him.
That sounds like a reasonable test. All
right. Well, on behalf of me and the Great Cornholio, just thanks again, Butthole, and enjoy the feast. I'm sorry I didn't bring anything. I'll get you next year.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You got me plenty on this trip, buddy. You go enjoy the feast and maybe get some sleep. You look real tired.
Thanks. I will. Oh, hey, is Alan coming or do we not know?
I mean, Alan sort of does what Alan sort of does. So the invitation has been expressed, and, Alan and Mudbutt had a relationship, so we were kind of hoping little Richard would show up, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, that's fine. No, she can do her own thing. That's cool.
The player who controls Alan is shaking her head. No.
I've got a feeling we're not going to see her today, but that's all right. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, happy, say Mudbutt be with you.
And with your spirit. He just sends you off.
Yeah. So they disappear back, the three of them kind of.
And he sends a note to Crendon saying, make sure Mo won't die during training. Otherwise, make him rest. Because that jig test sounds like a terrible medical test.
I mean, this is a medical test invented by Mosifus Dirt. Yeah. Cool. So with that, the band has kind of got set up. Quinny and or Juniper, is there anything else you'd want to do before the karaoke begins?
Nope. Sooner we get this over with, the sooner we can begin the mission.
Yeah. Juniper's just kind of like tapping her fingers tapping. She's just waiting for everything to kind of run itself, as it were, so they can get lost.
So the band is set up, and they're a motley crew of musicians. They're all they're literally just motley.
We managed to book motley crew. Good for us.
Honestly, having seen them live recently-ish, I mean, not even recently-ish. This was like 2004. I was like, oh no. So now you definitely, I don't think you want the crew.
I mean, the world is full of the undead, so it sounds like
we just
an undead
invite
band
a bunch
pretty
of
much.
zombies in. Yeah.
Kickstart my heart. Oh, I guess I need a break.
Well, that one zombie's got a really huge wiener.
That one zombie drummer.
He won't shut up about it. So the band gets set up, and they look the part. Like we're talking like proper Final Fantasy, like giant hats, like blue robes, and their frontman swaggers up to a thaumaturgically enhanced microphone. And he's wearing just like he's like rail thin. He's wearing like the fantasy equivalent of like skinny jeans. So just like, black leather pants that have been like, they're ripped at the knees. They've got safety pins in them for some reason. Wearing just a vest over little great tuft of hair sticking out of it. Very well weathered. He is not wearing the robe or the hat. He does, however, have sunglasses on. And he's got a wicked-looking lute sort of slung across his back, and he just kind of stumbles up to the microphone, just full-on, like, Bill Nighy, Love Actually style, just grabs and says, "Oh, hello, loves, it's me, your favorite musician, Ziggy Idol, and I'm here with the Black Mages to perform some karaoke for you all. Now, we've already played our hit song, One Winged Angel, for you. We know you love that one. I brought a whole choir with me." And he like gestures over, and there's just one guy with like a weird enchanted bagpipe with faces on the end who just looks exhausted. Jesus. Just kind of waves to everyone and said, "But now it's not time for us, it's time for you. So, I understand many of you have songs you'd like to sing, and it's my job to facilitate it. So come up and leave your little card here. We'll go in order, but if you put 2 in, I'm putting you at the back of the list. As you understand, you need fairness in these things." And sure enough, just like any good karaoke, like a bunch of people start to like rush up and like put their cards in. He's put out like a bunch of tiny pencils and paper and everything else. And he kind of goes in and gets set up and is kind of maneuvering through that. I guess my question is, like, knowing that you guys kind of have some shit to do later on, where are you putting yourselves in the order for karaoke? Are you early, mid, or late?
Quinny's trying to go as early as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say, we all need to get in and get out early. So we've 100% pre-filled cards and given them to Quinny to, like, get to the front of the line.
Yeah.
All right. So, Quinny, you approach the DJ booth. The band is retuning their instruments, and Ziggy is sitting there, keeping a somewhat keen eye, but also just like signing pictures of himself to hand out to people as they so desire. But he has to draw the pictures as well because he just doesn't like have these. So he's like quickly sketching his own face and then signing them. And not a lot of people are taking him up on this. Like a local musician isn't exactly as big a deal in the zombie apocalypse as he might believe. So you notice that he's distracted, but he is also keeping an eye on it. What is your approach for doing this?
I've got the cards and I've got some money, so it's just hey Ziggy, these 3 got to go first. These 3 cards, okay? I'm just gonna tuck them in here. Does that work for you? If I just put them in here?
Well, I can't go first. There's already some people who have put their cards in before you see.
All right. How about 50 gold pieces per card? I got 3 here, 150 gold pieces for you.
As you get older, darling, sometimes your eyes get bad in it. You think there are cards that were already in there, and it turns out there aren't. That's so strange. And just like he also pockets the money as easily as you
Great.
pull it out. He says, "That's good because we needed to pay someone to re-enchant the bagpipe after this performance, so this works out for everyone. All right, so we've got these three. What order do you want them in, or does it matter to you? Should I leave it up to fate?"
Sure, as long as those three go first.
They will indeed. So, leaving it up to fate. Quinny, you are 1 and 2. Juniper, you are 3 and 4. Butthole, you are 5 and 6. Quinny, you are up first.
Right?
And Juniper up second. Butthole, you're up last.
Cool.
And then we'll also just hear what Bucky and Reginald put in. I guess Bucky doesn't matter. You may not actually be here for Bucky, so that doesn't matter. But Reginald is coming with you. Reginald could also probably abstain from karaoke, I think, given that like you guys have to because the dum-dums are sort of the connective tissue. But he's enough of an outlier that I don't feel like anyone would be like, "Oh no, we didn't hear from Reggie."
Yeah, no, Reginald definitely filled out his own card and put it in because if he's going to die, he will sing a song before he
Perfect.
dies.
All right, great, love it. Okay,
If
so
he gets there or not, up to the universe, but he's
no.
gonna try.
If he's got a card, then we going. All right, great. So Quinny, you are first up. Ziggy just kind of like waves his little skeletal hands at everyone. Taps the mic to re-enchant it because his magic doesn't work the same way as Butthole's. And just says, "Everyone shut the fuck up, but festively.
Christ.
It's time for singing in a variety of capabilities. First of all, we have this very, very kind man who I love for reasons I can't describe." And like he jingles slightly as he says this. And he like throws a wink to the bagpipe guy who like throws a very necessary thumbs up as the faces are fading like they're Marty McFly in Back to the Future. He also says, "Oh, so if anyone wanted a Piper's Lament, we will not be able to accommodate you today. Now, Mr. Quinny, what song will you be serenading us with today?"
And Quinny climbs up on stage, and he kind of put as much preparation into this as he did into the dish that he brought.
Well, I mean, you brought a dish. There just wasn't anything on it.
Yeah, so he will be singing, gosh, I can't remember the artist, but he'll be singing the song Tequila, where the lyric is tequila.
That's great. Yep.
So,
as an aside, Tyler, I don't know if you remember this from our time at high school. Yeah,
Sure I do, yeah.
Great. I performed this we did Port Credit Idol, and I cannot sing, so I did this song.
The like I think season 1 of American Idol kind of thing, very, very hot kind of sensational thing to be doing at the school.
And I had been booed off stage for every skit or sketch I'd ever written and performed. So it was, but I came out and did this, and like all of my bullies were really into it. And I just stood there and did nothing. And then would lean in and say tequila. And then just stand there perfectly still.
If I remember correctly, we fucking loved it. Or I did.
It brought the house down. It's literally the most popular I ever was at that fucking school. Yeah. So I appreciate it. This is amazing. You've touched me deeply with this. You already have too much inspiration, so you don't get any more.
That's fine.
Go ahead and roll me a performance check, please. Wait, I should ask, how much? What?
Oh, I don't even want to add a modifier. It's so good. So with my modifier, it's 6. So can it just be like da 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 da? And I'm like, terrific, or whatever.
Yeah, it gets to a point where you're just saying it like offbeat.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. Tequila. Yeah, it goes very
just
poorly.
I forget how long the song is, how many times they go through the riff, and it's just like, God, I'm just like sweating, just like I might die tonight. I don't want to be here.
Yeah, well, and they don't have a horn section, so it's just the bagpiper with the faces.
Yeah,
Oh my
but
goodness.
the faces are fading, so it's like and he's bagpiping as hard as he can, but it's just slowly but surely fading as you stand there just burning.
Just tremendous or whatever. I've never done this one before.
Finally the song ends and there's just dead silence until you just hear woo, yay, Dad, and just like sarcastic applause from Ginny. Just being like, that's my dad. He does this all the time. You should all tell him what you thought of this later.
Just pop the ring of invisibility on and disappear from the stage in shame. And also, it's now convenient for me to have disappeared and no one knows where I am, so I can just go to down into the basement.
Right. So Ziggy comes out just looking like kind of astounded, and says, "Right, terrific, indeed, it was. Well, hopefully this next person can do a shade better, although karaoke is not about being good, it's just about commitment." And he looks to the piper, who is like out of breath and on the ground, and just says like, "And also let's give it up for Julian South Beach, our piper, who really gave it on that one, didn't you, Julian?" And Julian just gives away from the ground. And he says, "Right, so up next we have Sheriff Juniper. Now, I don't know if Sheriff is her name or in fact a rank, and frankly, I don't care. Sheriff Juniper, what song will you be singing today?"
And an old dwarf man in a puke green Argyle sweater and brown pants slowly makes his way up the stage and says, I'm singing on behalf of Sheriff Juniper tonight. I'm singing Heroes, because that's what we are.
And honestly, like, Ziggy is taken aback but also impressed. And he just says, "What a twist for someone who doesn't know what your connection to Juniper is. Well, good on you, old man. We old guys still got it." And he does one of those like weird little hip twist knee things. You just hear cracks just echoing throughout the room.
Nice.
And he says, "That hurt more than was worth it." And he fucks off to the back of the stage. So you're singing Heroes. This is the like
David Bowie.
Yeah, the Bowie and Freddie Mercury. For a second, I thought
just Bowie.
Oh, just the Bowie one.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I believe you're thinking of Under Pressure.
I am thinking of Under Pressure. You know what? It's partially
I
because
was thinking, I can be your hero, baby.
Okay.
So, we're all finding this.
Well, I got hung up on Nickelback's song from the Spider-Man soundtrack, so we all had a different one in our head. But okay, so Grandpa Warwick,
Amazing.
can you roll me a performance check, please?
Yeah, sure.
Also, there's something amazing about like an old man voice trying to sing that, because rather than sustaining the note, you can just like through them. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's a 10.
heroes. Hi.
You think we're gonna get that far into the song? it's I will be hand, and Butthole, he will be king, and Quinny will be the court jester, I think.
He's gone.
And Goblin Jr., wait, I don't know what role he has in this. And he just starts going off and saying, I mean, he's a wolf and we picked him up, but what place is he supposed to have in a court? I don't understand. What official capacity? This doesn't make sense. And he wanders
And the
off the
band
stage
is
muttering.
just like playing a loop of like one of the verses. They just don't know where you're going with this, so they're just repeating the same bars over and over and over again. All right, let's see
that's
your
about as
check.
far as he gets with the 10. So
Yeah. It's confusing, but everyone is kind of into it. It's a really good song. So there's scattered applause. People are mostly just excited in the way that like a local comic or a musician being like, "Oh, we're hearing Forlorn Hope," and everyone's like, "That's where we are." Like there's just some joy in the fact that you called specific people out. So they all applaud as Grandpa Warwick kind of wheels his way back down off the stage, and Ziggy comes out applauding, just saying like, "I do love good local flavor. I am also confused about this wolf situation, but I like it. Okay, next we have the king himself, Butthole Forge. I believe you are singing next."
Yep, and Butthole comes up and takes the stage, and he's a little bit sheepish because, and this is true, I wrote down the song I was going to sing before this started, and it is also tequila. So
Holy shit! Okay, but bear with me.
dude.
Given how badly Quinny did it and the fact that he didn't say the words, would Butthole just try and do it again?
Oh, yeah. Listen, the band's starting to play. He wrote it down. He's here to
You
commit.
can really turn this around.
So it just starts that like, and Butthole's just like in his big fancy uniform. He's doing that little like Shaquille O'Neal, Hillary Clinton dance. And he's like pointing at the crowd, finger guns. But it's all hellish voices from the organ. Wine.
Julian,
it's all wine for the whole song.
Julian South Beach is just like heaving now from having to play this fucking song twice in a row.
Yeah, but I don't know if he had a long trip ahead of him. He didn't want to have to sing too hard and get himself winded. So,
truly
a comfortable road song.
Truly hero. Okay, so go ahead with the performance check. I'm going to give you advantage though because Quinny screwed the pooch so badly that I feel like any version is going to sound great.
People really want to win.
It's a great act to follow.
Normally, it would have been a 13, but after Quinny's terrible performance, it's an 18.
Nice.
Yeah, so by comparison, people are like, okay, yeah, you know what? Didn't think I had strong opinions about this song, but apparently we do. So there's applause. Also, people are just happy to see Butthole up there. Like, again, you're a local celebrity, and some of them have started to worship you. So, like, this is generally good. There is one dissenting voice, and you just hear Ginny yelling, boo! Boo, the original's better. Boo! And trying to, like, incite the crowd, while also clearly smiling and, like,
Butthole's going to silently cast thaumaturgy 3 times so the people cheering around her get louder. Just drown her out with excited noise nearby.
And she just yells like, he's cheating. Groofus doesn't care for cheaters. And just, but she's drowned out by the assorted crowd. All right, which brings us to Reginald. Reginald is also in line. Ziggy comes out and says, well, I feel like I'm having deja vu, or perhaps it's just the drugs. Could be either at this point. We have Reginald Tingler, hopefully not singing tequila. Also, there's a tip. The only lyric is in the title, so perhaps that. Mr. Tingler, if you please, the stage.
All right, so everybody else is clearly doing obscure music, but I know what actual hits sound like. You know, I traveled with the Horde, and you sing a bad song and you're out. So it's time for me to sing you one of the real hits from Horde Town. And the music starts behind him, and he steps up to the microphone, and you just see him say, never made it as a wise man. I couldn't cut it as a poor man stealing. Tired of living like a blind man. I'm sick of sight without a sense of feeling. And this is how you remind me. And it's just a full spoken word version of Nickelback's How You Remind Me.
Yeah.
The most popular band from his Hell Planet, where all music is spoken word to be popular.
Right. Shillingback's This Is How You Remind Me.
Yeah, and he does all the repeats, he does all the chorus. The song takes approximately 12 minutes.
Those pregnant
Just like
pauses.
to imagine like the Black Spiders Inquisitors going door to door being like, look at this photograph.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you seen this man?
Amazing. So it goes on, and like I think much like a Shatner spoken word song, the crowd goes through a full emotional arc of like, what the fuck is happening? Okay, this is pretty funny. Oh, he's still going. We like this again. Roll performance check to see where it lands, though.
Rolling performance, and that is a 4. Which is appropriate for a 12-minute spoken word cover of Nickelback's
Yeah,
How You
around
Remind
the
Me.
time that you're saying like, ooh, 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 oh yeah, ooh, 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 oh yeah, ooh, ooh. The crowd's like, they were clapping, and they've just gotten to that point where their hands are tired, and they've just kind of stopped, and everyone's just kind of watching in silence. The song ends, and the crowd gives you like a golf clap. Aside from one very excited person, Tyler, what's Bucky's reaction to his new friend's song?
Bucky's enthusiasm has remained the same. It's always at a 10 and is just constantly plateaued there. So he's providing the same amount of applause that he did for Quinny's fucking butchering of the song Tequila, Grandpa Warwick doing Heroes, and the reprise of Tequila. So just the whistles, enthusiastic clapping, and then one little sort of like, woo! Just a... Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. If you don't do the woo, how will anyone know?
Yeah.
Reginald just steps back from the thaumaturgical microphone and goes, "No death threats. Nailed it." And that's how it ends, because he's used to having weapons thrown at him.
Yeah, that's how you know it isn't a real Nickelback concert. No one threatened his life at the end of it.
Is the horde just like the Blues Brothers performing?
Yeah.
It's just they throw
country
bottles
bar?
whether you're
Yeah,
good
yeah.
or bad.
Yeah.
Just weapons.
Yeah, it's like amazing. Okay, so with that, the four of you sort of make your way out into the crowd. Ziggy gets up and just says, "Well, that was quite something now, wasn't it? All right, let's get this moving right along." And he starts like looking through the box, and he's like, "Gods in heaven, you people have requested Teenage Dirtbag an awful lot." And he's like looking at all the cards, and they're all Teenage Dirtbag. And he says, "This seems like an overuse of this particular song, frankly, but give the people what they want. 2, 3, 4." And for the rest of the night, the sounds of, wanting to express your feelings to another, and having tickets to Iron Maiden and being scared of a boyfriend and just how will she know who I am, and et cetera. It just echoes throughout the halls, and everyone can really relate to it. The first 3 times.
It just haunts Quinny, because all he can hear is, "Her name's Mirabelle," and I have a dream about her. Like it just catches him a little bit every time.
Yeah, and Ginny's like, and the teenagers are like, "I think this might be our parents' music." But yes, it the sounds of Teenage
Bring out
Dirtbag.
Billy Elvish.
Very good. No notes. The sounds of Teenage Dirtbag kind of fall on your heels as you make your way, all of you, into the basement. So you've arranged for a short range teleportation spell that's just been kind of etched into the ground. It's honestly just going to ditch you like a little bit outside the fortress grounds.
Yeah.
And then from there you'll proceed on foot. You've got all of your stuff. Going with you is only, I believe, Doc Huckleberry. I think he's the only other member you've decided to bring with you. Obviously, Goblin Jr. will be joining you. But all of you kind of meet up. You can hear the sounds of the party echoing above you. And kind of have one last moment of safety before you exit out into the world. Anything any of you would want to say to each other before you go? Or any moment, like, is there anything kind of going on for you in this moment before you step into the teleportation?
Well, I imagine as like Butthole is dressed fancifully for the feast, the walk into the room would be the classic montage of changing for the actual mission. So for him, it's just the big purple cape goes, and each of the shining silver pieces that had been attached over his armor just snap off and are kind of getting set aside, and you see his traditional gold plate, but dulled with soot and other things so that it's not shining. He's not going to be a beacon in the night the way that he was at the event. Switching over to his regular, more traditional robes of house farch. And he would stop with everybody and be like, "Okay, so I got you all a gift that you should all wear on this mission. These are helmets that I had custom made for each of you so that if somebody kills you, they can't squish your head and make you die forever. So please wear these at all times."
Oh,
They'll
wow,
start
that's
handing them
brilliant, Butthole. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
What do Tyler and Laura, what do your helmets look like?
Oh, they all look different? Okay.
He would have given this to like Leanna to sort out, so they would be customized and would actually fit you. It's not like here's a shitty gift from Butthole. You all look like idiots.
Mine would match the patterning and coloring of the armor of Blingden Stone, so it looks like a cohesive kind of thing.
I think Quinny's looks kind of like Mega Man's helmet, just like a kind of very like no sharp edges, all like very round, with space for his ears, and there's a visor that can be put up and down on it, but it's made of like blackened glass. I don't know why.
That's good.
Because it's metal as hell.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
And Butthole.
Butthole is wearing something that's almost comparable to what Gimli would wear in Lord of the Rings. It's got that like dwarven heft to it and the protection on either side of the cheeks, but with a more open face. And his simple crown band is built into it so that there is still the symbol of his authority built into the helm. So you can actually just slot it into place or take it off as he leaves. And the final helm is Reginald's, which looks like one of the Spartan helms from 300. And Reginald's like, this looks pretty good to me, but I'll tell you right now, these things on the top will get you killed. And he just twists it and breaks off the giant horsehair plume part. So that he just has the actual helmet. And he's like, that's better there. That's not going to get stuck in anything.
And for Doc Huckleberry, I think it's a little bit like Cad Bane's hat from Star Wars. So like big, broad-brimmed hat, but like reinforced metallic. And it's got like chainmail, almost like, like a wig hat, just like falling chain kind of down around the back. And it's got a chainmail reinforced kind of desperado bandana piece that he can kind of like sling up over his nose and affix to the other side. So he basically just looks like a chainmail bandit. And he just kind of like pulls the hat down slightly and just kind of like looks up from under it and says, all right, good. As long as I can do that, this works just fine for me. The protection's good and all, but if I can't give you that glower, what are we even doing here? Am I right? And he nods to you, Juniper, and he's like, Sheriff understands. I don't think you've had much of a chance to talk, but he's like all in on the fact that there was an Old West realm and sheriff, because he's essentially been cosplaying for a really long time and then discovered that his cosplay universe exists in real life. So he kind of like joins up with you and fully armored. All of you kind of get into the teleportation sort of circle. Goblin Jr. kind of like lumbers in. I assume Goblin Jr. also gets a helmet, Ryan?
He's already got one, I think, with his like traditional armor. So when he's
spider armor,
when he's armor wolfed up, he's ready to rock. So yeah, he's got his helmet, but Butthole would have had it reinforced. We're giving him some better gear than he had back in the old days. So yeah,
So I think what we can say is like, so he's got the spider sort of in honor of our beloved missing druid, already kind of carved into it. But I think now, having lost some other companions, it's like, there's like a barrel of pork from Mudbutt and just some like, like a hand giving like a thumbs up for Billy Fingers.
Yeah,
just like
he's got Billy Fingers, and then he would have Little Richard in like a
just like hanging around his neck.
All the companions.
yeah, it's just got a full it's sort of a full outfit going. So yes, representing the companions. Maybe some of his helmet is reinforced with like a remade version of like bourbon sherbet. So just kind of like a bit of that curvature gets added to the helmet to reinforce it.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Great. So with that, all of you kind of pile in.
Oh, that's what he's reinforced, because bourbon sherbet fell into this realm, so they just took the body. That's great.
Yeah,
it's actually
reinforced
bourbon.
with bourbon sherbet.
Amazing.
Yeah, and he just kind of looks up at all of you and says, "Snarf, snarf."
Fuck yeah.
And with that, you activate the glyphs, and there is kind of a blast of blinding white light. And all of you leave safety on a one-way trip to Akka to either bring the nation around, bring down the Lich Lord who has turned this world into a hell, or die trying and join his army.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and Dum-Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are And Now for That Massive Coronary and Skipping Through the Orchestra Pit Part 1 by Peter Gresser, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDUMBDICE. And tune in next week for more Dum-Dums and Dragons. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. The Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Spot Allen, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, OMG, it's Big Nick, D&D and Things, Norma Byers, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Flea Unit, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Melissa Rain, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.